If you've ever been playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but found yourself wishing the controls were floatier and less exact, and the game had drastically more unclear goals, have I got a game for you. Here comes TRICKSTYLE, a super cool, super hip, super futuristic racing game that seems to have all the passion and energy of a class project started the morning of. That lack of inspiration for most of the game's details presents itself right away. The character selection screen is a hysterical combination of random men in their 40s for some reason, and just straight up stealing intellectual property. The actual meat of the game is sort of a bouncing hybrid between racing levels and Tony Hawk-esque trick challenges. There are quite a few races, but for all of them, it feels like the developers' hearts aren't quite in it. There's not much in the way of compelling competition, the courses are impersonally designed, the controls are janky, the game's insistence on attaching yourself to luge lines as a mode of transportation is nightmarishly inexact and causes nothing but major issues. There's no sense of exhilaration, and the game punishes you severely for even slight collisions with any and all parts of the course, which is an odd, ruthless detail for such an arcadey racer. Also, the game gives you points for tricks during races in a way that does not appear to amount to anything. The game is also brutally linear. Hitting one obstacle during races, or missing any of the myriad luge lines in the timed trick competitions, basically guarantees your failure. And there's no way within the game's tight schedule to double back or check off some others while you try again. Everything has to proceed exactly right, or it's back to the sad board-sitting animation for you. The two-player mode is, if anything, even more unrelenting. They have trick competitions that require you to make it to 20,000 points to win, but the tricks you perform are so low wattage, and the bonuses are preposterously difficult to obtain and only provide either 10 or 5 seconds extra time. We had to enter a series of cheats, one of which is Travolta for some reason, to stop the pounding clock, and even then, we had to go about 3 times over the actual time frame limit to even have one of us attain 20,000 points once. It's just such a ludicrous measure to require players to attain in what could simply be a who gets more competition. There is one major exception to that linear structure. In one of the weirdest design decisions I've ever seen, they have built the entire menu selection into the physical world, which is interesting, but also leads to bizarre situations, especially in multiplayer, where you're in the middle of a competition, and if you stray too far down one of the barely labeled pathways, the game simply supersedes whatever you were doing to start a new thing. Multiple times, I found myself canceling trick competitions because I had accidentally drifted into the tunnel for UK race number 2, or even the character select screen, which is also an approachable physical landmark in the world. This game was created by Criterion Games. No, not that one. That one. Who, just over 2 years after TRICKSTYLE, released the first game in the Burnout series, a beloved franchise of car crash racing sims whose main appeal was its psychotically detailed and accurate physics engine. That game also barely cared about its racing sequences, but the team managed to integrate its passions more fully into a playable structure. Considering that the same year, this team also released a spiritual successor to TRICKSTYLE called Airblade, which got a nearly identical critical response, almost to the letter, it's clear that Criterion's true interest was just in the realistic hoverboard physics, and everything else was just perfunctory. That's how you end up with, I don't know, Baby Spice, M. Bison, and Power Ranger. I don't know, we gotta go, thanks. Even if you're a fan of these sorts of extreme sports games, I would say give TRICKSTYLE a pass. Between the lazy character designs, the woefully inexact controls, the savagely unforgiving time restraints and level designs, and the bland, uninspired visuals, it just doesn't seem to have been constructed in the hopes that you'd have a lot of fun with it. If all they gave a shit about was the physics engine, maybe this should have stayed a tech demo. Next time, are you ready to be pretty good?